There you are. Let's hear your question.
Is net zero by 2050 unachievable, or is this simply being defeatist?
Climate defeatist, which is a phrase we heard in the House of Commons this week. Off you go.
We should be under no doubt. Net stupid zero is the greatest act of financial self-harm ever imposed on this country
That was Brexit.
by the two main parties. and let's be very clear what's going on there. They promised us lower bills, but our bills since the general election are almost £300 higher. Experts say there'll be another £900 higher per household by the next general election. I've asked Ed Miliband numerous times in the Commons, when are the bills going to come down? Let me tell you why we won 44 councillors and control of Lincolnshire County Council. Because the Lincolnshire residents don't want 40,000 acres of solar panels. That's what's going on.
And in terms of your policies, or net stupid zero as you call it, is the reform policy to do nothing on green energy?
We should scrap net zero, and that's what we're going to do.
So that's what I'm asking. So your policies do literally nothing
the best form of
to reduce carbon emissions.
The best form of carbon capture, folks, is trees. Even the Green Party don't think that the technology for carbon capture works. Why would the government want to spend 20 to 30 billion pounds of everybody's cash?
Okay, so just to be clear, so the reform policy on climate change, and I'm not saying this to mock you, I'm just trying to be clear, is to plant more trees and that's it.
There are a variety of things you can do, but the point is, the climate's always changed for millions of years. It always will. Anybody that thinks they can stop the power of the sun is ridiculous. And what this is doing is driving up the bills when we're promised the bills are going to come down.
I don't think anyone's talking about stopping the power of the sun. I think generally it's about what impact can be had on man-made emissions, which are contributing to climate change.
And how much do they contribute? About 3 or 4%, Fiona, as you well know. OK? So the rest of CO2 emissions are natural. I just asked James, when are the bills going to come down if we ever increase the renewable generating capacity? Just tell us when, James.
Well, I can tell you what keeps the bills high. It's every time you oppose putting more wind turbines onshore, every time you oppose solar panels, that keeps bills higher.
We've got the highest renewable generating capacity and the highest bills in the developed world.
Your party is acting in a way that keeps bills high. And by the way, if I can just say one other point, Fiona.
Briefly, because I want to bring Jo in.
Your policy is putting 5,800 jobs here in Hull and East Yorkshire at risk. 12,000
And your policy has destroyed tens of thousands of jobs elsewhere in oil and gas.
Lower bills and energy security.
And it's not working. And that's why we got double the votes in last week's election.
Okay, can we have a measured and sensible conversation for a second? Because I've got a brutal truth that I'd like to bring into the chat, which is if we stay on this path, we are looking at 1.2 billion climate refugees by 2050. That is not a warning. That is a forecast. And there's been much discussion in this debate.
And where's that forecast come from?
That forecast is from the Institute of Economics and Peace, right? And there's been a lot of discussion already about, people being hammered by sky-high heating and electricity bills because we are still hooked on gas. If you want stable energy, then the fastest way to do that, the one direction, is renewables and fast.
So why are the bills going up, Jo?
If I could just say...
Richard, you've got to stop interrupting, let people speak. Jo.
In terms of Labour, because other questions that have been asked today is, what are we going to do? I represent people who work in colleges. You occupy a space in the Treasury. If we want economic growth, if we want net zero, we need to be pumping money into our colleges because they will be educating the people and training the workers who will deliver net zero. And at the minute, we are not seeing anywhere near enough investment.
Woman in the white top.
Thank you. I just don't understand how you can sit there and call it net stupid zero when this literally affects people's health. These emissions kill people. I mean, I'm sure that's been proven. The asthma's on the increase. There is a campaign in Hull, which I hope the panel knows about, for net zero, that states that Hull is quite bad for carbon emissions. And until we become net zero, the UK won't be able to. So we need that investment in that infrastructure. But ultimately, it's about people. There's no planet B.
All right. Man in the black T-shirt.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, if there's any doubt whatsoever as to how serious the Reform Party are serious, you have to look at the response there on renewable energy and the climate as a whole, which is a global issue. That is how we are a developed country. We are in a position where we are a democratic society and we can have influence around the world by the decisions and choices we make. Their response is trees. maybe it's inextricably linked to the fact that they're funded by those within oil and gas in those capitalist societies. That's it.
Will it be chips or jacket spuds? Will it be salad or frozen peas? Will it be mushroom, fried onion rings?
You'll have to wait and see.
From the Bird's Eye Steakhouse Lean Juicy Steakhouse Grills, pure ground beef that you cook like a steak and serve like a steak. What'll you give your old man with his steakhouse grill?
Hope it's chips. We hope it's chips.
Beef grills and lamb grills, more sizzlers from the Bird's Eye Steakhouse.